Kia ora, Year 13, and welcome to today's lesson. Today I'm away just on a PD course, but that doesn't mean that the learning stops. So we're going to continue on with our learning, and we're getting up to the stage where you're starting to apply some of the key concepts and ideas that we've covered so far. So today, there's three main things that we need to achieve in our double before we move on to our next religious group. So on the screen here, I've got the merit practice question just to give you guys a chance to look at how Buddhism and what we've been studying, how it's actually impacting mainstream New Zealand society. So if you open up this link here, at the end of last class, we did this demo of the mindfulness in New Zealand schools. And so we had this exemplar here. So you can pick any one of these other areas to complete your analysis on. So for this one here, it's looking at Hugh Kemp. So look at his short little paragraph about what he's found out, and you've got to analyze the influence that it'll have on the growth of Buddhism in Aotearoa. This one here is looking at the growth of retreats within Aotearoa. You've got to analyze what these retreats are showing and the impact it could have. This one here is talking about yoga in New Zealand primary schools, and this one here is looking at the growth of meditation in Aotearoa. So once you've read your case study, there's three focusing areas that you're looking to present in the box here. So the first thing you need to do is to explain the religious dimension of Buddhism that's being expressed. So is it aspects of the Four Noble Truths, or is it aspects of the Eightfold Path? And if you're wondering to yourself, well, I'm not really too sure, then that's okay, because you can head down to our reading here and open it up, which will cover some of the questions that you might have. The second aspect that you're looking at is explain to me that religious dimension. So say if it's looking at the Eightfold Path in certain areas, explain to me what those areas are in more depth. So provide evidence from the key belief or the area itself. And then finally, what you've got to do is say if there's a growth in yoga or a growth in retreats, because of that, how's that going to impact Buddhism as a religion in Aotearoa? Like, what are some predictions that you can foresee happening because there's growth in these particular areas? So there's a demo paragraph there. So you're just looking to replicate that through the following four options. So you just pick one and then just follow through these dimensions here. So once that's completed, you're going to be given hexagons, and you can stop the video here to write down the concepts in each of the hexagons. So you have paper hexagons, so you put these concepts in your hexagons, and then you need to cut them out because you get to reorder the concepts in any particular way. So it could be that you create connections like shown here on screen, or what you might do is say make connections between two hexagons. And what you've got to do is an example like this. You've got to explain how karma is related to reincarnation, or how karma is related to the Four Noble Truths and reincarnation. So you could say karma is where people complete positive or negative formations based on their intentions and their thoughts. This is related to reincarnation because an individual is reincarnated into a particular form based on the karmic formations that they've received in their previous lives. And you can link karma to the Four Noble Truths because you could say that the Four Noble Truths is a solution to the question of suffering, but also to the issue of suffering itself. So what you're looking to create is something like this on screen. So you've got your hexagons with the concepts, and you can draw arrows between the concepts to say how they relate to one another. Now this is really important because if you're able to do this, it shows to your learning and to yourself that you've managed to master the key concepts here. And if you're wondering to yourself, like, I'm not sure about some of these concepts on the screen, remember to head back to our reading here, or you can also head down to the original post, which has a really good reading there as well. That's the second aspect that we're looking at completing. And the final thing that you're looking at doing is, if you go to the announcement called the 14th of February and you open up the spreadsheet here, I just want you to ensure that you put the link to your station rotation work that you've completed. Add in your teaching materials that you've completed. So say if you're working with 3 other people, add in the same link. So I'm just able to see that. Add a link to the merit analysis that you've worked on today. And ensure that when you're adding these links that you put access that anyone can edit. So it's kind of a rule that what we're looking at is not to obviously edit someone else's work, but it's because I'm able to view it easily and also give you comments and feedback. So have fun in your double today, completing your merit analysis, your hexagons, and then some flex time to finish areas if you haven't completed them already. And next class, what we're going to look at is an excellence practice where we're looking at how can Buddhism affect someone on a personal level and how can Buddhism actually affect our wider society.